and they set up a meeting, and they actually did the deed, and he was a gentleman. And see this particular scene, really, where Akwaugo went to visit Tobe, it was actually had me blushing, if I do say so myself. Yeah, I really liked how the author wrote that particular scene. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Uche, and in this video I will be reviewing the book Akwaugo by Rosemary Okafor. So this book was published in 2022, and it is romance fiction, Nigerian romance fiction. Akwaugo is quite the eponymous work, and this is because the name of the protagonist in this book is also Akwaugo. Now this book tells the story of Akwaugo. Guys, first things first, let's appreciate the book cover. I for one am always attracted to book covers, so if the book cover is attractive, if the colors call out to me, of course I'll want to know what the book is about. I'll check the synopsis, and I did that. So this book is one of the books that I saw on TikTok. So yeah, book talk made me read this book. So Akwaugo is described as a very beautiful young woman. She's very fair skinned, as you can see from the book cover. There's things you say ochakomaka, but I don't think that's the case with Akwaugo here. She's very fair skinned, and the way the author described how beautiful and how fair skinned Akwaugo is, I have an idea. I think I've seen people like that, especially when I was in the East, when I was schooling in the East. I've seen people like that, people with very light skin. So they are not albinos, almost, I don't know if I would say 2 shades below albinos, but they're not albinos. But this kind of skin, it's as if you touch it, you feel oil, you see oil there. So I understood. I don't know if you understand. I've seen those kind of people that are very fair skin. They are not albinos, but their skin, the color is just popping, it's shiny, like they don't even need to rub cream. Akwaugo is she's young, and she's married to this dwarf of a man. Not dwarf per se, but it's just described as very short, so Mezie. So Akwaugo's beauty has always brought attention to her. She was so beautiful that even at a point people in her village called her a witch or something like that, because she was that, this kind of beauty that is so scary. Yeah, Akwaugo was never lacking of suitors. When she was even in secondary school, she had suitors. She had men coming around her, people that wanted to marry her. But the most persistent of her suitors was Mezie. So Mezie was always catering to her needs and helping her family too. So Akwaugo is not from a wealthy family, and Mezie eventually went to the city to make money so that he could come back and marry Akwaugo properly. But this book is not about Akwaugo and Mezie. So there's another character that is going to be introduced. Yes, there's another character that is going to be introduced, and this book is actually about Akwaugo and this other character, which you get to know shortly. When Mezie eventually comes back, he marries Akwaugo right after secondary school, and he sponsors her in a nursing school. So Akwaugo is actually a certified nurse, but because of her husband's insecurity, that's Mezie doesn't allow her to work because Akwaugo is that attractive, and her beauty was always gathering attention to her. So that was why Mezie was that insecure. He didn't want her working. What she ended up doing was selling ukwa in the market. So yeah, this is someone that is educated, selling ukwa in the market just because of her husband. Akwaugo had been married for a while to Mezie, but she was yet to conceive. But the thing is that Akwaugo wasn't the cause of their inability to conceive. It was actually her husband's fault, and that's because he had gone to sleep with one of his kinsman's wife. In fact, he had raped his kinsman's wife, and the man cursed him and rendered him impotent. So he was unable, in fact his thing was not functioning, like his manhood wasn't functioning, so he was unable to impregnate his wife. And it's befuddling, like it's mind-boggling that you would have a wife as beautiful as Akwaugo, and you still go to cheat on her. Like, I don't understand. When eventually Akwaugo found out and she confronted him, he said something like, I mistakenly, I don't understand. You mistakenly guys, that scene was just funny. It was really funny. Because of their inability to give birth, Mezie arrives at the conclusion that he was going to send his wife out to get pregnant by someone else, possibly a stranger, and she was going to bring the child back home so that he could wipe his shame, because tongues were already wagging, people were already talking like, how come they were yet to be blessed with a child. Akwaugo eventually agrees to this. Before this happened, Mezie took his wife Akwaugo to 2 shrines. So now this book is actually set in Nnewi in Anambra State, Nigeria. Nnewi amongst Igbos is usually referred to as Anedo, that is land of gold. So this is what Mezie did. Mezie took his wife Akwaugo to 2 shrines. So the first shrine he took her to was the Edo shrine, and there she took an oath forbidding her from sleeping with any other man other than her husband. So if she cheats on her husband, there was going to be deadly consequences. Now the second shrine he took Akwaugo to was the Okija shrine. So for the Okija shrine, it was meant to kill her instantly after she and her husband have agreed on who would impregnate her. She goes back to that man the second time, like if she begins an affair with maybe the father of her child, like the stranger that impregnated her, this Okija shrine was to kill her instantly. And who doesn't know about Okija shrine? Even amongst we, the Igbos, if people are introducing themselves and they say, oh, I'm from Anambra State, we're in Anambra State, say I'm from Okija. Like, we that we are not even from that. If the person just says he or she is from Okija, fear, your body go first calm down. Like, you first you first do that kind of thing, because we've heard of the deadly Okija shrine. Like, they don't play in that Okija shrine, like things are happening there. So this was where Mezie took his wife to swear. And Akwaugo she's young, she's naive, she's she's Catholic, and her father was a Cactus. So this Catholicism has been indoctrinated in her, so she was true to her faith, not wanting to do things that would make her go and start confessing her sins, those kind of things. And she was just fearful of the consequences of going against her husband. Then eventually she found a stranger, someone who she thought was a stranger. He actually came to patronize her where she was selling ukwa in the market. So she propositioned him, and this is where we are introduced to the character Tobe. So she propositioned Tobe that she wants him to get her pregnant so that she can give the child to her husband. And Tobe, from the first sighting, was attracted to Akwaugo, and they set up a meeting, and they actually did the deed, and he was a gentleman. And see, this particular scene, really, where Akwaugo went to visit Tobe, it was actually had me blushing, if I do say so myself. Yeah, I really liked how the author wrote that particular scene. Then yes, just to cut the long story short, Akwaugo came back to her husband's house after she had slept with this stranger, and someone that they are trying to help. Like, normally Akwaugo would not cheat on her husband, but okay, because she was being obedient to her husband, the husband got jealous. And I think I could understand it because of how insecure he was. I could understand where he was coming from, but it just didn't make sense. So he got jealous, and this is someone that beats his wife. So Akwaugo was in a sham of a marriage. She was in I don't want to call it a stupid marriage, but that marriage was just dead on arrival. Because prior to when they got married, while Akwaugo was still in secondary school, and Mezie was running this chemist shop in the village. After school, she would go to Mezie's shop, and Mezie would insert his fingers in a private part just to ensure that she was still a virgin. So Akwaugo actually married her husband Mezie as a virgin. At the point where Tobe is introduced into the story, we get to see the building attraction, the growing attraction between Akwaugo and Tobe. But the thing is that Akwaugo would not dare to cheat on her husband. She tried so hard to kill whatever feelings that she had for Tobe, and Tobe is said to be just super wealthy. He's wealthy, he has companies, international companies, and he just wanted to just get Akwaugo. He also blamed himself at the point because this was someone else's wife. Already he had already slept with someone else's wife against his principles, but just because she really needed something from him. She really needed to carry his child to help her husband. In the journey of this book, we get to see how Tobe and Akwaugo, they fight the feelings that they have for each other. In fact, from just normal attraction, it grew into love, while Akwaugo was still trying to survive under the hardship, the toxicity that her husband was imposing on her, and she was trying to just make something out for herself while living under the fear that she had taken oaths in 2 different shrines. So her life was just hanging by the thread. So the story just progresses, and as they say, all is well that ends well. But it was a tough battle. It was a tough battle. Now, so let's go into the themes of this book. So the first thing about this book, apart from the book cover that I've talked about, which I really love, and I also want to appreciate authors who take out the time to invest in the book covers, knowing that we book readers, we love attractive things. Like, thank you very much. And this author, Rosemary Okafor, is an indie author, so I mean, that much work that she puts, kudos to her. And this is actually the first book by this author that I'll be reading. What happened was that I was scrolling through TikTok, and one of my mutuals, I saw that she posted an excerpt of the book. I was like, this is something that I would like. And one of the things that I love about this book, which is one of the themes as well, is how deeply rooted it is in the Igbo culture. So this book, in fact, the fact that it's set in the East, it's set in Nnewi majorly, and the fact that it carries like cultures, like it's very rich in the culture. We see the traditions, we see the beliefs of Igbo people. I'm Igbo myself, I'm from Anambra State actually, so I'm speaking from an informed, I know what I'm saying. Another thing that was talked about that this author introduced in this book was the Osu caste system. So Tobe is actually an Osu. So if you've watched some of my videos where I reviewed books like The Slave by Elechi Amadi, and even The Slave Girl by Buchie Mecheta, even Some Angels Don't See God by Eva Obi, I've talked about the Osu caste system and how it actually works. So the fact that this author introduced the Osu caste system, because I wasn't thinking that the hero of this book was going to be an Osu. This is not something that we come across. This is romance fiction. I never would have thought in my widest imagination that an author was going to incorporate this aspect of the Igbo culture in this book, because where I usually see mentions of Osu caste system is in literary fiction, like the Nigerian literary fiction, but in romance fiction and the way it was incorporated, I mean, this author really did well. We see the Osu caste system, and we see how now Osu caste system is advantageous here. We're not seeing the downside of it per se, but I'm looking at it from how beneficial it was to Tobe, because now, because he's an Osu, he belongs to Edo shrine. Yeah, like his lineage, his family, they had been consecrated to Edo, so they belong to Edo. They were kind of like properties of Edo shrine. So I wasn't really expecting that the Edo shrine would strike one of its own, because Mezie was diabolical. Mezie was really diabolical, and he would go at any length to ensure that Akwaugo remained his. And I mean, I understand where it's coming from. I really can understand, because Akwaugo is very beautiful. But the thing is that I was wondering why, if he had treated Akwaugo better, if he had treated her very well, I'm sure she wouldn't have even, what business does she have wanting to go to another man to help her father a child? So because so it's his fault. So another thing that interested me in this book was spirituality and, you know, traditional worship and traditional beliefs, customs and culture of the Igbo people. And that played a very heavy part in this book. And at the end we get to see that while you can explain science, when it comes to spirituality, there's more. In fact, sometimes, you know how they say that truth is stranger than fiction. Like there are some things, there are so many things that we can't see with our eyes. Like for science you can explain it because, oh, okay, there have been calculations, there have been conclusions and everything. It's something you can see with your physical eyes. But when it comes to spirituality, there's no explanation for it. It's just kind of like an entity on its own. And I'll still want to link it to how deadly it was, how terrible it was for Mezie to take his wife to not just one shrine, 2 shrines to swear an oath. And you think maybe it's just fiction. This is not just fiction. So I'm going to show you a video where a woman is being asked to swear at Okija shrine at the pain of death if someone else other than her husband has slept with her. So you know, when you make such utterances over yourself, like if this thing happens, if I've done this thing, let this one happen to me, it's not baseless because you're saying it in front of a deity. We are Christians, so we are Christians and we believe God. I believe God and everything, but there's also like things are happening. I don't even want to go into, I don't like to delve into I don't like to delve into that part at all. Please let me just maintain my Christianity though, because it's scary. It's scary. There's so many things that meets the eye. And now there's one thing this author does with this book. So this book kind of this book romanticizes cheating, and I'm not really a fan of the cheating trope. I really don't like, I don't like anything that has to do with cheating. Like, it irks me because I believe that love should be pure, romance should be pure, devoid of, you know, distractions and all this. But you see this ship, between Akwaugo and Tobe. Me, I'm driving it. I was in support. Because you see that Mezie, when they talk about book villains, toxic men in books, Mezie is, in fact, is helping them to drag front seat. Because yes, when I think about other books, this one, Alusi, Shrine, this Mezie, Mezie is toxic. Mezie is the devil himself, and the fact that he's so short, short man, very short man, very short and troublesome. In fact, he's the scum of the earth. Like, there's nothing good to say about Mezie. I really enjoyed this book. Like, this was the book that I read. As soon as I finished reading this book, I ran to Instagram to go and follow the author, and I promised myself that I was going to read as many of her books as possible because this author just did it for me. I like things that are deeply rooted in tradition, that I highlight our culture, you know, that speaks to our roots, our Nigerian roots, our cultural roots and everything. So I really enjoy books like that. So the fact that this author would incorporate it in romance fiction, she was sold to me already. Like, she really had my heart at that. So that's it about this video. If you've read Akwaugo, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really recommend this book. This book is chef's kiss. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I would say that if there's a book that I wish I can read for the very first time, this is Akwaugo by Rosemary Okafor. The author did not disappoint. And guys, if you've not read this book, please go and read it too. Go and read it. Like, honestly, this book is just it for me. I really had a swell time. I really enjoyed this book so much. Like, I read this book back in September, months back, and I can still remember everything that happened in this book. Like, I just read it yesterday. So this book is definitely it for me. If you're seeing my face for the very first time and you're not subscribed yet, please click on the subscribe button below and turn on your post notifications so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Like this video so that YouTube recommends it to other book lovers. Share this video with your friends, leave your comments. I really love to read from you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my very next video. Bye guys.